Good evening, everyone. Today we'll be stepping into the object-oriented programming, which is popularly known as OOPS. Okay, so you might be aware, what is mean by OOPS. Okay, so OOPS is obviously used in all other languages like what is it, Java, C, everything you use OOPS, right? So before entering to that, I'll just ask you people if you have any idea on OOPS. Okay, so what is mean by object oriented programming? Okay, so basically we can divide that into two things, right? So the language may be object oriented or procedural oriented, right? Obviously, if you ask, Python is an object-oriented programming. Is it a fully object-oriented programming? I'll say no, it's not. Okay, so it's partially object-oriented programming. Okay, so what is the basic difference between object-oriented and procedural programming is object-oriented programming is the technique of solving the problems and approaches where we will be using some objects. Okay, suppose consider to be I have a set of list. Okay, so I'll be calling if at all I want to do my thing. Okay, suppose consider I have a robot. I can just say instead of saying like go to this position, do this, do that, like that, I can just say navigate to a variable x. I can just predefine the variable x to have some position. So I can split that individual parts into certain objects and I can assign that value, right? So I can say my robot go to that object and it does that, and then you just say then do this object. So for that object you will be defining some other program, right? So based on that you will be your entire program can be divided into different objects. Okay, so in the other hand, if you see procedural programming, what is meant by procedural programming? Procedural programming is a set of lists. Okay, so you should say like do this in C program or Java, or else until now we just saw, right, our program will be running executing line by line, right? Procedural. So that is the called procedural programming. Okay, so coming back to the object oriented programming, this OOPS makes the development and maintenance of this code a bit easier. Okay, so I instead of writing my code, entire code, do this, do that, like that, I can just divide it into objects, and in my main function I can just call the object as of like we did in function, right? Like that we can call it. So it will be quite smaller so that it will be very easier to develop and to maintain too, right? Instead of messing up with multiple things, I can just easily develop and maintain that too easily, right? So but if you see in procedural programming, it is not that easy to maintain the code. When project becomes so lengthy, you should write each and everything. You just go to this, like, so entire code will be in a single program. It will be very lengthy, it will be too messy too for you, right? So the other thing what we see is, in this thing we'll be assigning some objects, right? So if you look at the main program, all the function, all the objects, only the object name is mentioned, not the entire code. So some data are hidden, they are secure, only we are just portraying the objects, right? But in the procedural, every data which you are going to do will be visible, so it may be less secure, right? So example of object oriented programming languages, if you see what and all are object oriented object oriented programming languages: C++, Java, .NET, Python, okay, C sharp. We can say a number of things. In the same way, if we see our procedural languages, C, and then VB, and then Pascal, right? These and all comes under procedural programming, right? So let me enter into the OOPS concept, right? So we just defined, right? So suppose if anyone asks you, can you just brief me your house address? So what you will be doing? So you will be instructing them first which country you belong to, right? So which country, then which state, and then which district, and then which city, and then which area, and then which street, and your door number, right? So you have a set of division, right? So your country, like everything comes under your country, so that is prioritized first, right? So next you comes to the state, right? So the same thing will follow here. So we'll be having an object, and then we'll move on to class. Inside the class we have inheritance, polymorphism, and then abstraction, and then encapsulation. So you don't worry about it, we'll go one by one so that you will understand everything. Okay, so as I said before, oops is nothing but it's an object oriented programming, allows programmers to create their own object that have methods and attributes. We just saw it, what is meant by method, what is meant by attributes. So in object oriented programming we'll see some more attributes to make or to do or to develop our program much easier. Okay, so we'll recall that after defining a string, list, or a dictionary, or any other object, you want to call methods with the method name, and then you will be using that syntax, right? So these methods act as function that use information about that object. Not only that object, it returns the result too, right? So for example, you can just say you have a list and you are counting one by one. Okay, so I have a list of numbers from 1 to 10. I should add like 1 to 1 plus 2, then plus 3 plus 4, so I then can return the object. What and all, I can assume another variable called something which a name here called sum, and I can assume like sum is equal to, reassign that sum plus is equal to sum, right? So I can reassign that and I can return the value again to my program, right? So oops allows user to create their own object. So in this we don't want to get a predefined object. In Python we do, not only in Python, in general oops concept we can just create our own objects, right? We'll be creating any variable, right? Like that we can just create our own object. Okay, so as like in a function in oops also they can, it is we can repeat the code, we can just organize, we can just say this object to be done first and then the followed by this. Okay, so we can organize too. Okay, and then if you see a larger script of Python code, okay, only that function is not enough to organize or to repeat the certain code. Okay, because see, if at all you use a function, you can organize or repeat a set of code, but if you're using an object, it will be precise for you to do your work exactly. Okay, so once if you didn't get any idea, I'll just go with very basic thing. Okay, so don't worry about it if you like if you didn't understand what is meant by oops. Okay, so we'll just go on one by one while we are doing the exercises, you will understand. Okay, so as I said before, object, in that objects like we can divide that, right? So as we said here, object and then class and inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and then encapsulation, right? So we'll just have the basic syntax of oops concept. Okay, so what we have at the first, okay, so we call the class first. So which class you belong to? So to call the class of this object, I'll say class and then I'll use my class name. Okay, so before, if you want to call a function, what you will be doing, we'll be calling def to define the function. We'll assign some name and then we'll use the arguments, right? But here we just have something like underscore underscore in it and I underscore underscore. What does that mean? So as we saw here, see, objects have some certain methods and attributes. So when it comes to oops concept, we have some predefined, Okay, we have some predefined attributes. So this attribute underscore underscore int is nothing but it just says like to initiate the value. Okay, so if I write like underscore underscore int and self, we just initiate the value. Suppose if I write this, okay, when I call this function, this argument, both arguments are selfly initiated to its value. Okay, this is called the header of the object. So when I start running a object program, okay, object oriented program, so I'll be using an initiative process so that before running my program, initiate my variable values by itself selfly this value. So I have two arguments, selfly initiate selfly assign the values of these arguments to be these. Okay, so class is this, and then we will be initiating this. So this what to say, this arguments value is this. Okay, and then we'll define the actual function, right? Let's see some basic examples so that you'll get a better idea. Okay, so I'll create a new notebook. Okay, so we'll start with the basic function. Okay, so for defining a class, what I'll be doing, I'll just mention class. Okay, so in function, right, in function we just saw, if at all you want to call a function, I'll be using def and then I will be writing some name, right? So in a conventional or in a like to what to say, the programmers follow, when you define a class, specify, like start with a caps letter, right? So this is something like, if in a code, okay, if you just make, if it is small also it will accept, it's not like it is a error or it is something like that. But if you are writing in a code, okay, there you are mentioning multiple classes and multiple function names, if it is starts with a capital letter, you can easily identify, right? So many people, like a conventional process, we're using a caps letter to start a class. Okay, so I'll just mention some class to be called. Okay, so overall I'm taking a class. Okay, I'm taking a class overall to be a car. Okay, I'm passing this. So if I run it, it will get initiated, it won't get any error. If I didn't have this, it will get error. Okay, you defined a class, then what next I'm supposed to do? Okay, so I just say, okay, I just defined, then pass the function, that's it. If I run this, it gets no error, right? So inside my class, consider to be we have a showroom. Okay, so showroom is the class for the cars, right? So in the class I have many cars. Okay, suppose I have, let me say I have Honda car. Okay, Honda car, right? In the class I have Honda cars. Okay, and then Tata car. Okay, so in my class how many elements are there? Two elements are there, Honda and Tata. Okay, so in if at all you consider, okay, in my class, in our class I have two students. The first student name is Honda, the second student's name is Tata. So next I go to change the next thing. So I'm going to give each person, suppose if it is Honda, means we can say Honda model name, year, price, we can just set another specific values of the each element. So how I am doing, I'm just saying Honda dot model under, let me name model name to be what model Honda car we can use, we'll say city. Okay, let it be city, Honda city. And then we'll say Honda dot year of, sorry, year of manufacturing. Okay, let it be 2017. Okay, and then we'll add another more thing to the Honda car. So Honda dot, what I can say, let it be price of that car. Okay, so price of the car to be some 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs. Okay, so I wrote Honda In my class I have two objects. What is that? Honda and Tata, right? So for Honda I just specified what are the specification. I just, for Tata also I'll just do the same. I'll just copy this, okay, and then paste here. So in Tata, what is the, what I'm supposed model name we can take? Sorry, in Tata what model name we can give? We'll keep some Bolt, okay. Bolt. Let it be manufacturing on 2018, okay. Let it be 6 lakh. Tata is quite cheap, right? Okay, so I have defined each thing. So what I did here, see, I just updated my thing. So this is my class. In my class I have two objects. Inside that I have multiple things, like I have specifications, I have those objects attributes, right? So for Honda I have Honda model name, year of manufacturing, and price. The same way Tata also I have, right? If I just say print Honda price, just prints, right? Instead of calling everything, I just say print Honda's price, or else print me which year Tata, year of model manufacturing, okay. It says 2018, right? So here I can just assign this in a separate Jupyter notebook, and I can create another notebook, and I can run my entire code. There I can just say my class to be car. So I can just mention this, and in that main code, if I call honda.erm, I will get an answer 2017, right? So like that, we can just create simple, what to say, simple, we can divide our entire code into simpler objects, right? So we can just do that. So I don't want to mention a single by single, right? So what I am going to do, this is the very basic thing we start, right? So I can just rewrite the entire thing into different form. Let me copy this again, okay. What I did here, I made class to be car, and then I made two objects in that, then specification of that, right? So I am going to rewrite this again, okay. So this is the basic thing, right? If we can use definition, we can use function. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define a function, and then I'm going to say initiate, okay, initiate selfly, initiate by self. What it should initiate, it should initiate model name, year of manufacturing, and then price, okay. So I just initiate that, and then what I do, if I said here to initiate some value, right? So what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm supposed to do here. So initiate means you should initiate some value, no? So predefinedly you should give some value. So what I should shelfly initiate, three variables I have, right? So first variable model name to be, I what input I give, that is my model name, okay. Model name, okay. Similarly, selfly initiate the ERM to be what I input as ERM, dot m, sorry, ERM, okay. Same like self dot price, okay. If I just say price again, whatever I can input I can just give that, okay. So I just made a class, right? I have a class. I just mentioned for every class in my, if at all I have 10 elements, 10 elements will have some model name, some year of manufacturing, and then price, right? So for model name we just initiated, right? So inputly, like basic input, we'll be having this, like assumed to be this, okay. So for that I just want to give now. So what is the first cars? Honda, right? So Honda, I'll just mention is equal to car. So what I'm supposed to initiate here? So first one is model name, right? So I'll say it's a city, Honda city, right? So next what I'm supposed to give? Year of manufacturing, which is 2017. Okay. So next one, price 10 lakhs. It's 10 lakhs. Okay. So I just assume. I guess it's not 10 lakhs. Okay. I just again Tata. Then in car, first is model name, right? Let me say bold. Okay. And then 2018. And then let it be 6 lakhs. Okay. I just made it at 6 lakhs. So I assigned it. So when I run my code now, it gets updated. So if I just ask, what is print me the value of Tata price, this gets me the value, right? You're getting that? So what I did here, so I just initiated a class. So in the class I have some cars like that I initiated. So I said, well, we have a function like self initiating. What you should initiate it using self again attribute. So what I'll be inputting for every elements in the car, I will be having model name, year of manufacturing and price. So you said self initiating. So self initiately what I should for model. So what model name I'm giving, you should initiate it. So year, same year what I give, that initiated. Price what I give, initiate that. Okay. So I just say Honda. Okay. So I say in class insert this attribute. First name is model name, second is year, then price. Right. The same way this also. When I just ask in Honda what is the price, Honda what is the price, this is this. Tata what is the price, is this. Right. You're getting that? So we'll do some more examples today. Okay. So that it will be understandable to you. Okay. So I'll just again say, uh, let me just create another class. We'll create another program. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a class. So class, this is my Python class. Let me say my students. These are my students. My students. Okay. So this is my class name. Okay. Okay. This is my class students. So I'm going to define the function. Don't give int. Int means integer. So you should say init. Okay. By self, what and all parameters will take? We'll take their name. Okay. And then age, height, and then weight. We'll take this. Okay. For every student in my class, I'll be taking 1 2 3 sorry 1 2 3 4 name, age, height and weight. Okay. So I just want to say it again, right? Selfly initiate the value of name to be what value name I'm giving. Right? Enter. Self dot age. Okay. Self dot height is equal to height. The same way self dot weight equal to weight. Okay. I just initiated my function. Now it's time to call the objects. Right. So let me say let me call out 3 students. Okay. So we'll say first Manoj. Okay. Manoj is equal to, so he is from which class? He is my student, right? So he is from my class, right? My students. In my students class, what he should give input? First, his name. Name is a string. Obviously, what we should do? See, his name is Manoj. Okay. So what is his age? His age is 25. Okay. So height. What is his height? Let me say 163. Okay. What is his weight? I will say 70. Okay. Right. Right. So next one I'll just take. So he also comes under my class. His name is Naren. Then we should enter, what we should enter? Age let it be 21. Height let it be 159. Okay, weight to be 56. Okay, so I have assigned, or else I'll just add another one more thing. Let me say Steve. Okay, Steve. Then my he comes under my class students, and then his name is Steve, and he is 22. His height is 155, and then weight is 57. Okay, so I have three students, three objects in my class. So whose attributes are, his name is Manoj, age is 25. So accordingly I have mentioned, right? So I'll just update it. Okay, so I got updated, right? So what is the next thing? So if I want, okay, if I want to know what is the print me the age of Naren. Okay, so what I'll be doing here, I'll be saying from Naren, okay, print me age. Sorry, his age is 21, right? So you might be asking, okay, this is fine. Okay, let me just say, let me ask you people, is this fine? Like, whatever we just covered the basic of oops function, how to create a class, in particular, how to create a class, you are comfortable with that? Okay, so let me just see your commands so that if you, okay, if I didn't get anything, yeah, yeah, people are getting that. Okay, fine, it's great. Okay, so I'll just say again, so what I'm doing, I just create a class whose name is this. I just define initiate. Okay, I'm going to initiate by self. What I'll be initiating by self? So name, age. In a object, what I'll be having? Name, age, height, and weight. Okay, so I'm just going to self initiate, right? So self initiating this name, age, height, and weight to be what under input I'm giving. Just self initiate that. So when I call the function, or when I call the object Naren and his age, it just picks the his age and prints me out, right? The very next question people might be asking us, or people's mind, like they will be nodding their head, just asking, okay, so if I want to write in a sentence like, okay, if I want to write in a sentence like Naren age is 21, how to get printed off it? Can I just say like, how to say, we can use percentages or something like that, or what to do here? Obviously we'll be using dictionary, right? We'll be using f strings or a dot format to get the result out, right? So we can just say, what you can say here, what you can say here. So we should define that here, right? So let me define another function. What to say, let me say they are eating, okay, or else leave. Let me, what to say, let me not mess up with you. Okay, so So before that, I'll just say how to just add your things here. Okay, so I'm going to say print. Either we can use f strings or dot format, right? So yesterday we were using f strings frequently, so I'll just recollect you how to use that dot format again. So what I'm going to do, I will say age of Narain is, sorry, age of, I can say age of Narain, or else I can just print this is this. Okay, so this is this. So what I'm going to do, either first I can just go with Narain blank. So in particular I'm going to take from Narain. So I just want to denote that I have a dictionary out of it. So I'll use dot format. Okay, dot format. What I'm going to insert here, what I'm going to insert here, age of Narain, right? So I'll say Narain dot age. So if I print this, sorry, age of Narain is 21, right? So this is what the basic stuff is. This is what the basic, very basic thing in oops concept. Like in particular, we are just calling a class, right? So in before classes, we just saw how to define a function, right? So here we are just seeing how to call a class, right? So you have a look at this, and if you have any doubt, let me just know. Class, what is class? So class is something defined as collection of objects. So I have set of object, I can just say these are students. I'm just giving a tag to it, right? That is called class. So object is obviously, you know, every element in the class is an object, right? Method we would have seen, right? I'll wait for a couple of more minutes so that you can just look at this and you can just see. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay, so we'll move on to the tab. Okay. Okay. So I was saying some more words, right? So we just saw about what is class, what is object, what is class, and what is these in turn. What is inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. What is this? So let me just brief you what is this today, so that in tomorrow's class we can just know how to apply these. So we just saw what is object, class, right? So inheritance. Okay. Sorry. Inheritance, okay, is the most important aspect of object oriented program. So why it is so important? Okay, so this inheritance is a thing which is simulates the real world concept. Okay, so if you want to import a real world concept, inheritance does the thing. Okay, so it just correlates the child object which have the property and behavior which belongs to the parent object. So I just said, right, we can just divide our object program into objects, right? So further we can just divide into that. Okay, the inheritance, what it does is it just correlate with the child objects and the parent object. Okay, by using this inheritance we can create a class which uses all the properties and behaviors of another class. So we can just replicate or we can duplicate As same class, we can just make another class by having the same property of another existing class. Okay, so why this is majorly uses to reuse the code. Okay, so if I want to just call the function or call the code again, to I don't want to create another class out of it, I can just name a class, I can just take the property out of one existing class. Okay, so what is meant by polymorphism? So in simply, if we just divide that, we can just divide that polymorph into two things, poly and morph. So obviously, poly means many and morph means shaping that. Okay, so polymorphism is nothing but if you want to do single thing in multiple way. Okay, so I'll just tell an example. Okay, you have a class named animal. Okay, and all animals speak, but they speak differently, right? So each animal, if cat will be doing some sound, dogs will be barking, right? So here they will be using different things. So here the speak behavior is some polymorphic in sentence, right? So you can just say I have a class called animals, and then I can say animals can speak, but that speak has many things, right? So there we'll be using polymorphism. Okay, so quickly I'll just say what is mean by, I just had polymorphic inheritance. Encapsulation. What is mean by encapsulation? Encapsulation is also a key factor in the object-oriented programming. Okay, so it is used to restrict access to certain methods and variables. Okay, so we can encapsulation is nothing but we can divide into two things, right? So encapsulation in simple term, if you want to say, it is used to bind or to wrap the entire thing into single unit. Okay, so data abstraction is nothing but, right? So data abstraction is nothing but we are going to abstract some data, or we are going to bind or something. Both this abstraction and encapsulation does the same things, right? So this is what today will be discussed. So I'll just give you 10 more minutes. Okay, so we'll just do, or we'll go ahead bit in that next class, in tomorrow's class, about the OOPS concept, and then we'll just work on real world application on what how OOPS coding is done, and then how to get the data out of it, or how to use the polymorphism. Okay, we'll be discussing in tomorrow's class. Okay, so if you have any doubts or something, you can just ping me, I can just can answer your doubts. Okay, so yeah, so if you have any doubts, I can just spend another 10 more minutes for you guys, so that if you have any doubt, we can just deal with that, else we can just close our system. Thank you guys. Let me stop my screen actually, so that if I can just concentrate on your chat.